Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Hi. It's one of those great days, huh?
Yeah, it certainly is.
You know, it happens every once in a while. The good guys win. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A little pep in
Very
our
happy
step.
about that.
Yes, well, of his latest felony, you said someone in the news media is chasing down whether Trump actually bought the Glock, right? I mean, it would be a serious felony and all. I mean, and as usual, haven't they changed their story like 6 times? They're like, oh no, he didn't buy it. Oh, and then he said he did because, of course, he wants to seem macho. And you're just like, they just, I think there is a different, this whole fraud
where
case.
It's just like we see a video like that and we just go, oh, look, it's Trump committing more crimes.
Yeah.
All right, well, what's next? What's happening?
Yeah.
What's on TV?
Yeah, here's Andrew Weissman on this latest.
There is a motion before one of 4 judges who have the criminal cases of Donald Trump. There is a motion pending by the government saying, do something, Judge. You've got to restrict in some ways what he is saying about witnesses and jurors and judges and their families. You have to do something. While that motion is pending, as you said, we're waiting for the defense brief tonight. He has done a number of things. He has made these statements about the former chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I'm sorry, that was the previous felonies. This is the Glock, and then we'll get your reaction.
He has been on air today about possessing a firearm. Well, you and I were on air together when, in the D.C. case, the magistrate judge said, you know what the most important thing is, Mr. Trump, when you are out on bail? Do not commit another crime. Well, it is a crime for somebody who is charged with a felony, just charged with a felony, to receive a gun. And there are pictures on Twitter of him holding the gun.
I mean, it just, you can't write this. This is the exact charge that they think Hunter Biden should get the death penalty for, that he owned a gun for like 11 days or something and did nothing with it. Yes.
Wouldn't it be awesome if, because of this ruling by Judge Engoron yesterday, that the seizing of the Trump organization would then repossess that gun? Wouldn't it be fun if the Glock was in the name of the Trump organization, like he bought it with company money,
right,
and then he would lose the Glock because of this decision? See, I'm tying all the crimes together. Because you know what? He may have also committed another, or admitted to committing another crime in his reaction to the ruling yesterday, where he was saying, and I think it's like the second time he said this, where he said his assets are much greater than what is on the financial statement.
Like with E. Jean Carroll, he just keeps doubling and tripling down.
Yes. So on his financial statements, he's downplaying or actually lowballing his assets, which to me would be an issue with the IRS. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not an auditor or anything like that, but if I were an IRS employee, I'd be thinking, why is he lying about this on his financial statements? But that's just the start of all of this.
Right.
Yeah. Donald Trump makes things worse for Donald Trump. And this is another example where in the process of reacting to one crime, he's committing possibly another crime.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know which scene I'm thinking of. Is it Stooges plumbing, or is it...
Curly standing there in that cage of pipes with water shooting out everywhere.
He steps in tar, and then a hubcap is stuck to him, and then he gets 6 other things stuck to the hubcap.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I mean, it's no surprise here that Donald Trump is a gigantic fraud, because everything about him is a fraud. You know what? Guess what, Trump supporters? His face isn't really colored like that. His hair doesn't really look like that. He's not really that tall. He's inflating all of these things to make him seem bigger than he actually is. I wonder if he might do that to his finances as well.
And someone tweeted today. I know, it just, as this news broke yesterday, Bob, we're all kind of trying to, Andrew Feinberg tweeted, if I'm reading this right, Judge Engoron just found that Donald Trump committed fraud and has ordered the cancellation of all of his New York business certificates and the dissolution of the Trump organization. Like, I think once again, bombshell fatigue, but we're like, oh, this is big yesterday, right? Like Brooklyn Dad said, a New York judge has ruled that Trump committed fraud by submitting forms exaggerating his wealth. The judge has given Trump 10 days to dissolve the Trump organization. Way to go, New York Attorney General Tisha James. Because I was kind of going like, because it's not a criminal, one of the criminal ones that we think of as, sedition and espionage, but we're like, wow, this is a BFD. Like Joyce Vance said the same thing. We just played a soundbite, Jody. She said, this is New York's corporate death penalty applied to Trump because of years of misconduct. Justice. I mean, this is what the main question is, how has he gotten away with this all his life? It's so obvious.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is he's obviously going to appeal this once the decision is final, once because they're going to go through a trial thing, even though there was a summary judgment. They're still going to go through a process. And I think he's going to appeal after that, but he's probably going to lose that appeal. There's nothing he can do to escape this. This is done. I mean, this is essentially finished for Donald Trump. The Trump Organization is no more. I saw this morning David K. Johnston, who's just been pursuing, like, David K. Johnston is like Mr. McGee in the Incredible Hulk. Donald Trump perpetually, and he tweeted, Donald Trump is no longer in business in New York State. A judge canceled all of his business certificates, appointed a judge to monitor the assets. I love that he needs a babysitter too, because he's so incompetent. Barring an unlikely reversal by an appeals court, the assets will be sold, and Trump, Don Jr., and Eric are barred from business. And I've just been staring at that tweet since I got up this morning, and it's just like it's like one of those fiber optic Jesus paintings. It's just or like a velvet Elvis. You just can't take your eyes off of it. It's wonderful.
Chris had the line of the morning already. I said there's a lot of gnashing of teeth on the Trump family, and he said in Eric's case, a gnashing of gums.
Yeah,
which is much more soundless.
Right.
It's much more soundless. You can barely hear it.
Yeah. God, I got to find a sound effect for that. That's a great idea, Chris.
What does the gnashing of gums sound like? You tweeted, Bob. You said, as I've been saying, Trump will prosecute the so-called enemies of the people first. Doesn't matter how much they appease and normalize him. Of the headline, Trump vows to investigate NBC and MSNBC for country-threatening treason if elected enemy of the people. I mean, this is what I still don't get about the mainstream media is, do you think he's effing kidding? Because he's not. Do you think if there's a Trump
he's absolutely not.
Yeah, he's coming after you first.
When it comes to asserting his power and dominating his enemies, he's seldom, I mean, that's one of the areas where he seldom lies, where you kind of have to go along with what he's saying. And the context of him saying this about NBC News and Comcast is fascinating given the proximity to the Kristen Welker interview.
Yeah.
It's like this is NBC News bending over backwards to give him just an open runway to say whatever the hell he wants to say. And his reaction, his thank you note to NBC is, I'm going to prosecute all of you. And you're totally screwed because you're the enemies of the people. And even if he doesn't do that, it further stokes his fanboys and these militias that follow him around to actually take matters upon themselves and themselves go after the enemies of the people. Bob, so this is endangering the press in two different ways.
Yeah, I mean, we played some of the unaired 9 minutes of the Meet the Press interview, and the whole interview was, as we call it, what do we call it? A fire hose of lies, a tennis ball machine of lies. The missing 9 minutes, Bob, was a fire hose of tennis ball machines of lies.
Yeah, right.
It's just, if you have to not even use 9 minutes you shouldn't be interviewing this person, and what did air was barely got any pushback. Those streams of lies. I mean,
right. And you fact check, if you're going to do it, if you're going to show a serial liar on television, you have to fact check in real time, because as we've seen over and over again, especially on the internet, especially on social media, the lie travels around the world 1,000 times before the truth gets its pants on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's exactly how the quote goes, but that's how I say it. And in this case, that lie, the actual airing of Meet the Press, circulated around the globe. And then this what do they fact check in the middle of the afternoon on Andrea Mitchell's show on MSNBC, where no one cares anymore, no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. I mean, that's completely irresponsible. And Donald Trump's reaction is, I'm going to prosecute you for being too hard on me.
Yeah. Well, and can I just say, it was a clip yesterday of Biden on the picket line. I don't know if you saw it. And the problem is, they want you to disbelieve even things you can see and hear with your own eyes. Some right-winger said, Joe Biden, minutes after slipping on the steps of Air Force One, quote, I marched a lot of UAW picket lines when I was a senator since 1973, but I tell you what, first time I've ever done it in person. To make him sound, he clearly said first time I've ever done it as president.
Right.
He didn't say in person. So it made it sound, it's just, this is going to be the whole, like, look how senile he is, right? And
Yeah. And we also have to, whenever that comes up, because they are going to fabricate things and exaggerate things, as they always do, we have to bear in mind what they're really saying, which is fear the black woman waiting in the wings.
Yes.
That's ultimately whenever they say Biden's old, what Biden's old means is
it's racist
Kamala's
and sexist.
black.
Yes.
Kamala's a black woman is what they're saying.
Yeah, boogity black lady.
Next.
Yeah.
So vote against her because no one likes Kamala. That's what they say.
Okay, this one, and I'll have to say this from Malcolm Nance as well, but I just was thinking of my father rolling in his grave yesterday. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on the steps of the Capitol. Did you see her with a bullhorn criticizing money going to Ukraine? She said, "Why are we sending them money if they're harvesting their organs and selling children for sex?"
What?
That's a United States congressperson. I mean, there's no difference between the lunatic fringe and the people in Congress. In fact, if anything, she's crazier than some of their lunatic fringe.
Someone should ask her if there are tiny helicopters and airplanes moving the tornadoes to cities.
And the Build-A-Birds.
Obama.
Lizard people.
I'm doing your, what do you call it? What's his name? Alex
Dan
Jones impression. I'm doing Bob Cesca's impression.
Or Dan Bidandi.
Lizard people. Build-A-Birds.
Did you see tiny helicopters and airplanes moving the tornadoes closer and closer to the city? Because that's Obama and his weather weapons, and they're destroying everywhere where you find guns. They want to destroy the guns using tornadoes. Giant tornadoes steered by tiny airplanes and helicopters. That's it. Oh, my God. And there are members of Congress who believe this crap. I remember a bunch of years ago, we were talking about Alex Jones and making fun of him and exposing what he really is on my show. And on this show, for that matter, and everyone said, "Why are you talking about Alex Jones?" Well, because he's becoming the Republican Party. They're merging into this chimera of awfulness, and no one wanted to believe me. And then here it is; it's all happening. We've got the Alex Jones president, or we had.
Yeah.
And,
let's end on a happy clappy note with the Bob Cesca, rule, don't get happy.
Right.
But Rachel Bidikofer tweeted, "I am absolutely delighted that MAGA has decided to turn Taylor Swift's 100 million fans into Democrats." It is, I have to say, I read this great tweet yesterday, Andrew Lawfer, I don't know if you follow him, but just about how, whether it's Twitter, or, all the spaces you and I are in, Bob, radio, podcast, TV, we cannot cede any space, any public space. We have to fight, and people like, obviously, Taylor Swift and our little stem cell Victor Shi, we just have to fight on every front we can, because it is a massive war against misinformation. As you just said.
Remember a time when conservatives were generally okay with the fact that they weren't represented at all in the entertainment industry, especially in music.
Yeah.
Like, they just had to deal with that. The fact that most people in the arts, generally speaking, were liberal.
Oh, hi. I'm here with sexy liberal John Fugelsang wearing my Los Angeles sexy liberal shirt. Oh, my God. We have an LA show coming up October 21st. But how else could you see it, John?
Could you see it? I'm so glad you asked. For a limited time, you can see the show live via pay-per-view if you go to sexyliberal.com. All the laughs, you'll miss nothing.
I can stream it from all around the world?
All around the world, in your car, while you're driving. Watch it at home.
Sexyliberal.com, yeah.